Hey guys, so we've got a colorful one here. This is another Shiori artwork I decided to draw from Hololive. So this particular one was a bit tricky, to say the least, because I wanted her laying on her side, but getting the reflectiveness of the water wasn't actually easy to do at all. In fact, I didn't know what pose I wanted at first. I kind of started with the normal, typical 3/4 view, and it quickly turned into something else once I realized I didn't like that. There were a few iterations that I tried to do here, where I tried to do kind of laying on their side or laying down, and overall I found the one that I ended up going with, which was kind of this over-the-shoulder arm, very almost comfy looking, even though and then later on I started trying to add her into water, and that was kind of the whole idea. It took a while to get to that point, but eventually, like me speaking, it got there. So we do have a lot to cover here. First off, I ended up drawing a hand, but in the finished concept, the hand is actually really hard to see. It was one of those situations where I thought, oh, this will look good, but then once I started to actually render it, the hand kind of just disappeared, which can be an issue with my artworks. Is I start off with one goal and then it quickly turns somewhere else. We're doing the eye here real quick, and the eye is one of those things that it kind of changes each time I do it, just because I don't want to be set in one way to do eyes, because there's so many different ways to do eyes and faces, and though the rendering I do typically stays the same, this one's a little bit different, and it kind of just goes to a direction where I wanted to kind of play with the way that I shape. I went with the same almond shape, but left more to the rendering rather than just the initial lines themselves. So here we have the mouth, and in the finished product, I kind of changed it up just a little bit. In fact, part of me wishes I kept it the same, because the finished version, the face looks too skinny. But I wanted to actually draw the ears this time with Shiori, even though typically her ears are covered by her hair. I kind of wanted them to be a little more prominent in this artwork. So that's what I ended up doing. So now we're going into the hair, and the hair was something I didn't know what I wanted to do with at first. It wasn't until later that I decided I wanted to do kind of the draping hair on top of the water. And going with that, I think it turned out really, really nice, personally. Getting the gravity right was actually difficult, because as I was drawing it, the gravity shifted from going straight down to going toward her back. And I didn't realize I was making that mistake till way later, to almost to the point where I started rendering. I'm like, oh crap, the hair's draping the wrong way. It's not supposed to go straight down. It's supposed to go toward her shoulder, which she's laying down on. So, by the time I figured it out, it was like, ah, crap, I'm already into the rendering, and now I'm kind of falling behind. So we've got, here's right around the part where I figured out where the gravity was, and I'm like, well, shoot. Now we're drawing her hair piece, which I'm doing a lot of copying and pasting to make my life a little bit easier. And that is actually something I do recommend. If you're doing duplicates of the same shape, you might as well just copy and paste it. Then if you need to warp it, use the transform or liquefy tool. That's pretty much all you really need to know. Now that we've got the basic idea here, we're going to start working on the base colors. And with the base colors, I wanted to go for a more saturated look than what I typically do. Well, that's saying a lot, because typically I go for saturation, but usually my base tones aren't that saturated. But in this time, I did make them a lot more saturated than I usually do. The base colors, having more color, was something that I couldn't decide whether or not I wanted to do. I ended up going with that, but the response to it, I actually posted this artwork on Twitter, and as of recording this video, it is not being received as well as I had hoped. People aren't really paying much attention to it, but we're only about an hour and a half into it as I'm recording this, so please disregard if it ends up doing really, really well. The hard thing about social media, including YouTube, is the fact that you never know when or if something will take off, so it's actually kind of stressful. You post it and you hope people will give their thoughts on it, you hope that they will see it, and sometimes they just don't. You're at the mercy of whether or not the algorithm decides it likes what you've done enough. I used to be able to hit the algorithm pretty consistently, But since I got shadow banned a few times on Twitter because some of my stuff leaned a little too much on the risque side, I ended up kind of suffering from that, and I've never quite fully recovered from it. But, you know, you just have to keep pushing and trying your best to push through it. Through all social media that you do, you'll have very high highs and very low lows. And I'm gonna be real, it's pretty draining to your mental health. I wish I could just receive comments and no likes or any of that stuff, because man, it's brutal on your self-esteem. But anyway, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you'll know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, it helps out a whole lot. I know YouTube now wants people to interact and not just leave a like. So if you do view the video, try to be an active viewer and leave a comment, even if it's something as simple as a hi, hello, or I like it or I dislike it. Just let me know what you think. I also take criticism. Sometimes whenever people tell me my artwork or my videos need to be improved, I try to take into account your thoughts as well, because in actuality, I don't get better by just sitting on my ass doing nothing. But so far we have the basic idea here. Now with the shine in the hair, this was kind of a tricky one. I wanted kind of that U shape that I've been seeing a lot in artworks that I particularly enjoy. So doing my own iteration of that is still not fully what it could be, because I'm still learning it. And maybe down the line it'll get really, really good, or it won't. We'll figure that out with the more I do it. But you can see that I add different shades of colors in the hair, because the cool thing about drawing black hair is you can add a ton of color into black hair and it will still look correct. At least that's my personal take. The eyes this time, not sure I'm in love with them. I might have to redo it in the finished product. But the eyes themselves kind of pop a bit, but they just seem messy. They're not quite as put together as my usual stuff. So I may try to fix that later. Now we're adding the add glow to kind of make the skin and all that really pop out. This was my first pass at doing the leaves, and I wasn't fully satisfied with them, so I believe I go through and I changed that. I also added the reflectiveness of the hair and the arm. Did a hard light layer to make the colors pop and the contrast even more intense. Some little strands of hair everywhere. And here I start adding like little flowers. And finally a red focus line, which I really, really like doing with Shiori. Now we're doing some tonal curve to kind of make it pop, and some color balance finally. And we're about to do some level correction, and that is how I made this artwork. If you like this video, again, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. Helps me out a whole lot. I'll see you guys next time. All right? Bye.